Hey guys, it's Lane here with HobbiesofaMan once again, and today's going to be our wrap-up video for the month of June. And we're going to have a watch list, we're going to have a novel section, a comic book section, and a manga section. And should be a relatively quick video, assuming that I don't spend too long. And I do want to start with actually thanking everyone that has been following this channel for, since it started, because we finally did hit 1,000 subscribers. Earlier this month. I didn't do a video for it because I want to do a giveaway, and so I was waiting for a channel update kind of thing once I had all of the materials that I wanted to have a giveaway for, or to have for the giveaway. And I'm missing some stuff. I'm waiting on a company to send me a book as a way to kind of like have them sponsor the giveaway, but also kind of be like, okay, my YouTube career-ish thing started, and these are some of the important people that helped me along that journey. I want to kind of celebrate them by having them help me with the giveaway. And so I'm waiting on someone to send me some stuff, and I will do like a proper giveaway video, a proper celebration of reaching the milestone later. But overall, I just really want to thank everyone from the bottom of my heart. I really didn't think that I would do this. I would still be doing this 3 years later, and that I would actually get around to having 1,000 subscribers. Now, I'm very happy, and I'm very thankful, and I think it's really interesting. And there was a lot of times where I was like unsure if I wanted to keep going, because like technically I'm not doing this for the sake of like accolades or for the sake of monetizing or anything like that. But that is kind of a part of it. That is something that is exciting, that is cool, that is interesting about YouTube, right? Like I didn't set out to do that, but if I can do it, that'd be really cool. And so for a long time, even though I wasn't like super interested in having a lot of subscribers, it did kind of suck. It did feel kind of shitty that, I was doing so many videos, and all of the people that came up with me at the same time in MangaTube got subscribers way more often and way faster, and managed to get accolades and certain subscriber count goals much faster than I did. But I kind of got over that, and now that I kind of finally reached one of those major milestones, the 1,000 subscriber milestone, mostly I'm just really happy, and I'm very thankful to everyone that follows me and that is interested in what I say. There's quite a few people that I see that comment all the time, and certain people behind the scenes that have been supportive of me, and I really appreciate all of you. Thank you so much. So that's it for that. I'll probably do a little bit more talking about that probably in my TBR video tomorrow, because I think I'm going to do an update video plus a TBR video all in one instead of having two separate videos. So I'll talk about it more tomorrow, but let's get into the wrap-up video for today. So starting with our watch list, I didn't really watch too much TV today or this month actually. I've actually been mostly watching YouTube. I got really interested in watching Comic Pop. It's a YouTube channel. I'll put a link to them in the iCard above. And they're a relatively big YouTube channel. They're kind of in the same vein as Comicstorian. And it's Sal and his two friends, Ben and Ethan, and his wife Tiffany. And basically they sit in a couch and they discuss different stories, mostly from the big two, from Marvel and DC. And it's really fun to hear them talk about it. It's really interesting. It kind of ignited my passion for comic books quite a bit, because lately I've not been feeling super interested in comic books, or in the last couple months. I mean, I still bought them and I still was interested in them because I was interested in what I was getting, but it kind of did the same thing with like fountain pens that I talked about in one of my fountain pen videos recently, is that it just kind of became a common thing and a standard part of my life instead of something that I was passionate about. So watching Comic Pop for the last month or so has really reignited my interest in comic books, and that's why you've actually seen me buy a lot more comic books than usual. Comic book trades more so than single issues, because I think unless something happens later on, May is probably going to be the month where I get the most comic books, just because it's free comic book month, and you get stuff that way, and usually it's a lot more stuff. So yeah, and so that led to a small watch list. So I watched Shin Kamen Rider earlier in the month, at the end of last month. It was an awesome movie. I really liked it. I'm pretty sure there's going to be a second Shin Kamen Rider movie. And that's exciting because honestly, Kamen Rider, the original story is actually two people, and we did get to see both of them, but we didn't really get to see the second guy's Kamen Rider story. So there is still time, and there's still stuff to say about Kamen Rider. So I'm sure that Anno is probably going to do another one, and I'll be very excited about that. The only other Shin movie that I have not watched yet is Ultraman, and hopefully that comes to the US here soon. I've seen some reports that say it might go on Netflix, but I think it should probably go on Crunchyroll the same way Shin Godzilla went on Crunchyroll. And I've also seen some people say that it might go on Amazon. That would be fine, I guess. There's quite a few things on Amazon that are Kamen Rider related, so that might make sense. Either way, I don't really care. I have access to all of those. I have access to Crunchyroll, Amazon, Netflix, whatever. I'm fine with any of it. And so I just want it to be available so I can watch it, so I can review it, so I can have all three of them under my belt, so to speak. And so I can really say I'm a tokusatsu fan to an extent, right? So yeah, overall, Shin Kamen Rider was awesome. I really, really enjoyed it. However, I think I've mentioned this quite a few times. I think that there's a certain level of difficulty, of kind of like inaccessibility for American audiences, because whether we want to think about it like that or not, we live in the US, we live where Hollywood is located, and we live where the vast majority of very epic, CGI-heavy action storytelling is told. And so that means that, you know, when other countries that maybe don't have as much money, that don't have as big of a film industry, make CGI-heavy movies, it makes it quite difficult for them to match up to what we're used to here in the US. And so that kind of causes certain problems in terms of, like, why would I go watch Kamen Rider when I can just sit down and watch any Marvel movie that I want? And they'll have more or less a similar story, and the action sequences and the CGI stuff is going to look way better in the Marvel stuff. Now, there is a kind of a caveat there, that is that the Kamen Rider stuff kind of feels like it has more heart to it. It feels a little bit more genuine. And so, you know, it's kind of a give and take there. I don't really care either way. I will complain about the CGI because I am used to that high level CGI that we get here in the US. That has been kind of not that great lately. But I'm also willing to kind of look past it if I like the story. And in the Shin Kamen Rider's situation, I did like it. So then I watched the Spider-Verse movie, the second one. It was awesome. It was a really, really good movie. Honestly, probably the best Spider-Man movie I've ever seen. Yeah, probably, because I recently watched Homecoming as well, and I really liked that movie. But I think that a lot of that movie was kind of not artificial, but kind of like situation-specific hype, because of the fact that it was like, oh my god, we just got Spider-Man in the Civil War movie, and it's been forever since Spider-Man was part of the MCU. Oh my god, he's in it now, and it felt kind of like special at the time. But the story is not as good as I remember it being. Still enjoyable, but it doesn't have the same kind of vibe to it that I felt like it had when I first watched that movie. And then, you know, I really like the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man movies, but that's mostly because they came out when I was a teenager. And so to me, they are Spider-Man, because the Sam Raimi movies were kind of a little bit too old school by the time I started watching them. And even though I do have them and I've watched them for quite a few times, the one I liked was the third one, because that's the first one that I remember watching. Even though everyone says the second one's the best. And then the Andrew Garfield movies were the ones I grew up with. And then the Tom Holland ones are kind of like the ones I remember as an adult, that are probably actually the best ones, but, you know, it kind of depends. But I think the Spider-Verse movie is probably the most enjoyable. And I really like Miles Morales. I don't think I'd read a comic book about Miles Morales, because as far as I understand it, the comic books are not that good at Miles Morales, except maybe the Ultimate stuff. But I like the way that they portray him in the movie, and I like the way that his family interacts with him and stuff like that. I really like that. I think it's very genuine and very realistic to what Hispanic people kind of are like. And I think that's really, really good, because there's a lot of other shows and stuff that try to kind of bank on that, like, hey, this is what brown people act like. And it never really works. Like the Ms. Marvel show, or the Disney show for National Treasure. Like, that's supposed to be like this Hispanic girl trying to make things work in Louisiana, I think, and it's like none of this is really accurate to real life, and also if it is, it's like the worst aspects of life and not the ones that most people would probably go through. So I don't know. It kind of depends, but Miles Morales' story and the way his family interacts is very genuine and very realistic feeling to me. So I quite like that. Then I watched Legend of Tarzan with one of the Skarsgårds in Margot Robbie, and I like this movie, but it's not the best movie, but it is maybe one of the better Tarzan movies. I personally like it because it manages to convey a lot of value in terms of like the first 3 or 4 I was about to say Star Wars, Tarzan novels are condensed and massaged into a single narrative, and that works for me. There's also mentions of Opar, and you get to see Tarzan interact with the apes and stuff like that. And I quite like that. I think it's generally very good. However, Skarsgård's portrayal, I think it was Alexander Skarsgård. His portrayal of Tarzan feels a bit meek, I guess is the best way to put it. He feels like he's not comfortable with who he is. And from the novels, Tarzan is immensely comfortable. Even if he kind of chafes under the fact that he is not able to be a wild man when he's in civilization, he is still immensely imposing and self-assured because he knows that he can tangle with anything, right? He is the king of the jungle. So it felt a little bit awkward, but I didn't really think about it at the time. But now that I'm remembering the movie, yeah, I think it is a little bit awkward. It is a little bit weird, but everything else works. I really enjoy Margot Robbie's portrayal of Jane, and I like how she is incorporated into the story because she is kind of a damsel in distress, but she's also self-reliant, self-sufficient. She kind of reminds me a little bit about Lois Lane, actually. And she has this like love for Tarzan that is very clearly visible, and I really like that. Then I watched the Bumblebee movie, and man, this probably is my favorite Transformers movie beyond the first one. The first one, again, is one of those where it's like, I remember watching this as a kid, and I loved it, and I like Camaros just because of the first Michael Bay movie, even though I know I would never buy one because I don't think I like how they feel when I drive them. Or when I rode in one, I didn't really like how it felt, so I don't think I would like driving them, but they look awesome. Like, I can't lie, it is a very awesome car, and it's all thanks to Michael Bay that I even like that car. But Bumblebee is probably the most well thought out movie out of all of them, even if it is kind of like a rehash of the Iron Giant or E.T. or anything like that, but it feels very nice to watch it, right? And then I watched Rise of the Beast, and it was an awesome movie. It's very funny. Actually, I want to go watch it again, but I probably won't do it until next week, after 4th of July, because it's just such a good movie. It's really enjoyable. It has some iffy moments here and there, but mostly they're kind of like story choices, because they want to build out a universe. They're not necessarily situations where it's like, it's a bad thing. It's just kind of like, that's not where I would have gone, right? So, yeah, and then we have Spider-Man Homecoming, like I said, and I already talked about it, so there's not much to say about that one. So, okay, so let's move on to the novels here. So, I only have 2 actual novels, and I have 2 light novels, and I'll just add them here because I want to talk about them quickly, and then we'll get on to the comic books and the manga. So, first we have The Beast of Tarzan. This is book 3 in the Tarzan story out of 24, and it's not necessarily my favorite Tarzan book, but it is one that I found enjoyable in certain aspects. I like the first 2 much better, but this one was fun. It kind of rehashed a little bit of the elements of Tarzan. It also made them quite different. Actually, a lot of what you see in the Legend of Tarzan movie that I mentioned earlier kind of feels like it came straight out of this. And I generally enjoy the aspect of Tarzan taming these animals and making them part of his routine, I guess, part of his people. But the Pavlovich and what's the other guy's name? Pavlovich and what's the other guy's name? And Brokoff kind of aspect wasn't my favorite because they're kind of losers compared to Tarzan. They don't really have the same level of like value to them, like the power to them. And so Tarzan only loses against them because he's too like legit and they're just too shitty to make it work. And so I really hope that Tarzan eventually gets an enemy that is comparable to him in anything but status. And is comparable to him in like their wits and their strength and stuff like that. Because honestly, the apes are probably better, antagonists to Tarzan than Rokov or Pavlovich ever are. So, but it was good. I enjoyed it. There's also a very cinematic feeling kind of vibe to this, which I really enjoyed. But sometimes I was like, dude, just tell me what you want to say instead of making it feel like you're going all over the place to do it. So I was a little bit frustrated reading this novel, which is a really odd thing to say because I'm not usually kind of feeling like that when it comes to Edgar Rice Burroughs novels. So yeah, and then the second novel that I read was Louis L'Amour's Flint, and this is a very interesting story. It's a Western, it's a one-shot, it's a single standalone novel, and it was really, really cool. It's basically if Tarzan became a gunslinger in the Old West, what would he be like? And it's this, and I really like that. And maybe you could say, why are you comparing everyone to Tarzan? It's because Tarzan is the guy, man. Like he is the progenitor of the epic action guy. He is part of why Superman exists. He is a Superman in all senses of the word. But I think to me, the most important aspect of Tarzan is his like calm collectedness, his ability to face adversity and know that he'll probably be able to come out of it as long as he keeps his wits about him, right? And Flint kind of has that same predisposition to him, and I really like that. This is a really, really good novel. Sometimes, though, because I'm not really used to Westerns since I've never read one before, it did feel like there was a lot of frivolous information. Like there was a lot of stuff that was maybe setting building, I think is the right word. But it was just like, I don't need to know this for the story to make sense. Why are you telling me this? But then after I finished reading the novel, I was like, okay, I didn't need to know any of that. But it made it feel so much better. It made it feel so realistic and so alive. And it really was a really good way of writing this. So I had some issues early on getting used to the style. But then once I got used to it, I was like, damn, this really makes sense. This is really, really good and really, really enjoyable. I already did a review for both of these, so I'm not really going to spend too long talking about them. But if you've never checked out Westerns before, check out Louis L'Amour's Flint. It's a very good novel. You'll definitely enjoy it. And then the two light novels that I have here are Ace's story from the One Piece magazine, I think. These were published there. And then they were turned into Tankobons, or, collected volumes. And then Boichi made an adaptation of them, and that was also published in the One Piece magazine. I think that's how it went. Not really sure. But, these are not that bad. The second novel is much better than the first one. And if you could only buy one of these, I recommend you buy the second one, because this one is the one that matters. This one is the one that gives you the backstory for Ace. This one is the backstory for the Ace crew, the Spade Pirates, but it's from the perspective of this character, Ace Max Deuce, and it doesn't really feel like it gives you anything beyond making it feel like, oh, Luffy and Ace kind of had the same type of journey early on. However, the way this is written is just so poor that it's really not that enjoyable. The only kind of saving grace about it is that it's short, only 120 pages, and it has some good sketching back here from Eiichiro Oda. So yeah, if you can only get one, get this one. It's much better than the other one. And I already did a review for that as well, so I'm not going to talk about them too much. Let's move on to the comic books here. And I have to talk about some comic books that I don't have with me that I read, thanks to a friend of mine. So I read Action Comics 1050 to 1055 and Superman 1 through 5. I did a review or a discussion about Superman, the Dawn of DC Superman, and I only mentioned up to issue 4 of Tarzan. And there really isn't too much else to add about issue 5. But overall, the Superman stuff is really, really good. I definitely recommend you guys check it out. Although at this point, maybe just wait till September for the collected edition, because they did something really stupid where they rebooted the DC universe using the Dawn of DC. And then they also did an event called Night Terrors that goes right in between the start and the kind of continuation of the dawn of DC. And it's really awkward, and I don't like it, but this is how they did it. Joshua Williamson is the head of that, so it might be good. I'm not really sure. I mean, I've liked the Superman stuff, the Green Arrow stuff, and there's something else that he was writing as well that I liked. So I'm sure that there's a lot of value to it, but I'm not really going to check out any of the Night Terrors things. Even though they look cool, I'm just not interested, but I did really enjoy the Superman comics that I read. And I read Green Lantern 1 and 2, and I didn't really care for this all that much. I mean, it's fine, but I feel like anytime I've ever interacted with Hal Jordan's Green Lantern, it's just him getting his powers, like a new origin story, and I don't care anymore. I also just don't care about Green Lantern in general. Then I read the first 3 issues of Superboy. I quite liked it, but I don't think he's the Superboy that I remember. The one I remember is the one that has the black shirt with the red logo, and that's the one from Young Justice and from the New 52 Superboy, from the New 52 Superboy comic. And this one is different. He's the 90s version. He's fun, but I don't really love him. I'm not really attached to him, but I enjoyed his story. So, yeah, and then I read the first 2 issues of Wildcats, and I didn't care. The character designs are great. I don't give a shit about the Wildcats. Nothing about them was all that interesting beyond how they look. And yeah, so that's it for the comics that I don't have with me. Let's look at the comic books that I do have here. So, okay, and moving on to the comic books that I do have with me, let's start with the stuff from the earlier part of the month, which would be Queen of the Lost World. Number 1, this was really good. I really enjoyed all of the characters that were introduced here, and I really like the art style. And this cover just looks really awesome. So there you go. Now we have Dead Romans number 4. This focuses on Honoria mostly, and I really like this one. This was a really, really good issue. And honestly, this story is really, really great. I'm really loving it. Then we have The Last Barbarians number 5. I did not like this. Well, I didn't hate it, but I didn't love it. And the thing is that I really don't think I'm going to check out anything by Van Dyke or Haberlin ever again. I just find their artwork interesting, but also kind of quite grotesque. And it just doesn't work for me at all, so I'm not going to bother collecting any more stuff from them. Then we have Rogue Sun, number 13. This starts a new story arc, and I need to go back and review the first story arc. Then we have Queen of Swords. This was good. It's a spin-off. It's a new story following these 2 characters as they go do something that I don't remember what it is. They have to go find something and fight some witch in order to help Owen. Then we have Mothman number 1. This was interesting. I'm not sure it's my favorite. I didn't really love the art style, but the idea of it is really interesting, and the fact that it's not a fantasy thing, it's more of a urban sci-fi feeling kind of vibe to it. It's kind of cool. Then we have Dark Knights of Steel number 11. I really like this chapter of this story, but I really hate that this comes out in a really weird kind of time frame. I don't really enjoy that. We have number 13 of Death Dealer. This was good. I'm happy it's almost over, because at this point it kind of feels like it's just kind of spinning its wheels, and I kind of want it to be over. We have Barbarella number 4. I love these covers, but man, the story is bad. I'm very happy it's about to end. And the artwork in this story is significantly worse than the first one, and that really, really sucks. I hope they don't make the same mistake with Sheena, because I really like the Sheena story. And I would really like to continue liking it. So I don't know. We have Barbaric number 4. This finished the story. And this was good. I quite enjoy this. And I like the artwork there on the cover. They have the Rocketeer one-shot, and I didn't like this. This is going to go in my box, and I'm never going to touch it ever again. I probably will end up selling it at some point later, in like a year or so when people are wanting it and they can't find it in the back issues at their stores. Then we have Gun Honey, and I'm just going to show you the covers and not talk about it too much, since I am about to do reviews for them. So I did review for the first one already, so you can watch that on the channel, and review for part 2 of the story is probably going to come out next week. So we have Gun Honey number 1. Number 2, I dropped number 3, so give me a sec. Number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, which are actually 1 and 2, and then number 7, which is number 3 for the second story, and number 8, which is actually number 4 for the second story. So there you go. That's all 8 pieces of Gun Honey. And Heatseeker comes out next week, which will be pretty exciting. And then finally, Green Arrow number 3, which was good, and Vanish number 8, which was also pretty enjoyable. So there you go. That's it for the comic books. Let's move on to the manga now. I need to make sure stuff doesn't fall. So there really isn't any order to these. I'm just gonna go through them. So I read Demons of the Shadow Realm. This was really, really good. I quite enjoyed it. I actually really liked it because I watched the teching video that he did on this before I read it, and so I had a better understanding of it going in, and I thought it was really, really good. I really enjoyed it. It's also interesting that this is the first time that I actually like a work by Himura Arakawa. Somehow, none of the stuff that I've read from her has really been appealing to me. So it's nice to finally get something that works for me on certain levels, right? So there you go. I liked it. If you're a fan of Blue Exorcist and stuff like that, you'll probably enjoy this. Anyway, Gumbird Sisters number 4. This is the last book in the story, and I'm not going to do a review for it anytime soon. I'm just going to wait until Halloween or until October to do it, and I'll reread the series then and talk about it then, because I think it's appropriate, and I don't want to waste a good opportunity to have some thematic content by doing a review for it early. And also, it'll be nice to kind of forget about the story and then re-experience it and have a better, deeper understanding of it later on for the review. So, yeah. We did Eden Zero number 21 and 20, actually. So I did these out of order. I did 20 and then 21. And I quite enjoyed it. It was very, very cool. There was also a time skip in this story. And it didn't necessarily feel set up or earned, but it worked. And I liked it. And it was a nice way of having, like, the characters just show up and be better than they were before. And it also kind of almost feels like the time skip between A New Hope and The Empire Strikes Back. It kind of had that same vibe to it where it's like, okay, give them slightly updated outfits and then have them be significantly better than they were before, and then just have fun with it. And it was good. I quite like that. We have Living Stone number 1. This was good. I'm probably not going to finish collecting the series anytime soon because I don't think I'm going to be able to find volumes for it. But this is something I'm probably going to keep. I'll just send it to my parents' house, and I'll get the next volume when I get it. It was cool. I enjoyed it. It's a bit macabre, so you might not enjoy it yourself, but I quite liked it. I thought it was cool. It's also only 4 volumes, so it's easy. Here we have Dark Gathering number 1, and this isn't really my cup of tea. I didn't really love it. I didn't hate it, but it's just not really for me. However, the character designs are pretty good, and the juxtaposition between this like crazy little girl that feels like she's dressed up like Mephistopheles from Blue Exorcist, and this like loser main character kid was kind of fun. I like that, but I don't like horror stuff, and I don't like horror comedy either, so none of this appealed to me. But if you're a fan of Exorcist stuff and you wanted a little bit more Exorcist plus horror comedy, you probably will enjoy that. Here we have Shy number 2, and I really like this volume. Shy gets a new power. She develops this passion flame. That reminds me of Starfire, and I really liked it. I thought it was good. I really like this volume. And it also introduces us to more characters, specifically Black Lady, or Lady Black. I don't remember her name. She's a nurse. She's a hero from Sweden, and she doesn't have any legs, but she manages to make things work for her, and she's really inspiring to Shy. So I really like that. I thought this was a really good volume. Then we have Tomi Can't Communicate number 24. This was just a date for the whole volume, and it was really, really enjoyable. I quite liked it. I really like where Komi is going right now, and I hope that it keeps up with that. And also, I hope that it finishes soon, because I think at this point, we're at 30 volumes, and I don't think it really needs to go that long. However, it is kind of showing something that I think My Hero Academia could have learned from, and that is that if you're going to set up a story that takes place in high school, have it finish at the end of high school and not halfway through the high school year, which is what My Hero is kind of doing, right? So, I don't know. I think that there was something to be learned from Komi for My Hero Academia, but at the same time, they're very different. The pacing is going to be awkward, so I understand it. I don't know. I really feel like My Hero Academia should have been a story that focuses on like year 1 saga, year 2 saga, year 3 saga, and then the arcs kind of relate to that, right? But then it might have been too slow. I'm not really sure. It kind of depends, right? So yeah, then we have Horimiya number 1. I really enjoyed this, but it's not something that's going to be a priority for me. I really liked it, but there's way too many other series that I have that I really love that are in the same kind of vibe as this, so I don't really have a rush to collect more of it. Then we have the Boxer number 2, and this one was an awesome volume. I really enjoyed this. The Boxer is really, really cool, and it was really nice to finally see the main character kind of go crazy and be a badass, and it was really, really interesting. So yeah, he was a very cool character. I quite like that. We have Boys Abyss, and this isn't as sad and fucked up as I thought. It would be based on what everyone else has said, but it was still fucked up enough that I liked it. Because it's edgy and sad without being like, oh, look at how cool it is. It's more like, damn, shit's depressing, but there's some value in like artistically looking at that. And I really like the cover, the art style, and I really enjoyed this. So yeah, I'm gonna continue to collect this, and I'm very happy that I got it, and I'm interested in it, and I like the artwork a lot. Record of Ragnarok number 6. I didn't really care about this volume because I don't give a shit about Jack the Ripper. I don't know why everyone and their mother loves him. He's a very mid character to me. Nothing about him is interesting. Honestly, the fact that everyone continues to say that Jack the Ripper is the worst thing ever is like, dude, no, he's not. There's significantly worse humans in history that could have been way more interesting to explore. I'm not talking about Hitler. I'm talking about like Ivan the Terrible or Napoleon or like, you know, one of the Russian guys. Like there's so many other interesting, you know, people. Julius Caesar, you know, like any Nero, like any number of historical people could have been way more interesting than Jack the Ripper, and it would have actually fit to be like, oh yeah, these are the worst humans in history. I don't know why they chose Jack the Ripper, and I don't know why everyone likes him. He's just such a boring ass character. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just hating on it. I don't know. It just bothers me. I don't know. So my dress up darling number 8. I love this issue. I really enjoy the fact that, or sorry, not issue, volume. I really like the fact that Gojo is finally being accepted by his classmates, and he's realizing, hey, I am a valuable member of my class. People care about me. People like me, and it's really interesting. But it's also very like tough for him to understand that. He's like, damn, I'm not used to this many people caring about me. What's going on? And I really like it. I thought it was really enjoyable and also really meaningful for Gojo. Then we have Fire Force number 1 and 2. I only read like 3 chapters of this issue, or of this volume, and then I read most of this, or actually all of this. And I really like Fire Force at the end of this. So I am going to continue collecting Fire Force omnibuses, and I'm going to really enjoy myself, you know, by reading this. So I had a lot of fun with Fire Force. I'm going to do reviews for the 3 arcs that I haven't reviewed yet, that are contained in that soon, and you'll get to hear my thoughts on them. But overall, very action heavy, very interested in the aesthetic and styling, with a nice kind of through line of this mystery plot, which is enjoyable. One of the arcs actually wasn't my favorite because it felt too fast. Like there was a mystery and they pulled the string for the mystery too quickly. But I think that's just fine. It's mostly for the pacing of like, you know, weekly chapter releases. So I understand it. It wasn't my favorite though. I would have preferred a different kind of situation, but it is what it is. And that is the end of the wrap-up video. I hope you guys enjoyed. Let me know what you thought. Thank you guys very much for watching, and I appreciate you guys a lot. So see you guys in the next video.